Welcome to Give Me Hope with your host and author, Johanna Vendel. Come join the conversation as Johanna focuses on sharing impactful personal narratives of loss. Her platform provides a safe space for individuals to express themselves, find comfort, and build connections as they navigate their grief journey. So now, please welcome the host of Give Me Hope, Johanna Vendel.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to Give Me Hope with Johanna. Today, I don't have much to say, but we have such a beautiful day outside, sun is shining, it's another day, and I just want to be positive today because tomorrow is another death day for me. My father's death day, but he will be gone for 32 years already this year. It's a very long time, and I have been through many, many heartaches after I've lost my father, but I'm doing much better. And I have written many books where I have told my entire story in there. And if you ever feel like you want to read my story, you are welcome to buy my books on Amazon. I have just released my latest fictional book, actually, and it's called Plotting the Murder of Sabrina. So, enough of me. Let's introduce our guest in studio today, Dawn Adams. Hello, Dawn.
Hello, Johanna.
Welcome, and
Thank
thank you
you.
for being on my podcast.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I thank God for being here and you. And I don't want to leave out our colleague, Deborah Whiteham. She introduced us and she said she was going to, and the next day I heard from you. So thanks for having me.
You are very welcome. I'm always looking for people with amazing stories, and I believe that you have an amazing story to tell. So, would you like to start to just fully introduce yourself? Tell us what you do for a life, and let's just get to know you a little before we start.
Okay. So again, as Johanna said, my name is Dawn Adams, and I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, moved as a baby to Boston, Massachusetts, and that's where I spent the majority of my life. My I'm semi-retired, which means I get to fully act out my passion of writing and publishing. I am part-time real estate agent, not my first passion, but it's in there. So that's just what I'm doing. I am a mother of a lovely 37-year-old daughter, and we live in Atlanta, Georgia now, and I love it.
Oh, that is actually a nice area to live. I have a few friends, a few South African friends that lives in Georgia. So I constantly see pictures there that it's a beautiful place.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Uh,
So,
well,
Um,
Dawn, would you like to start with your story? First, tell
yeah,
us a little
yes.
more about before you start to write books and what made you interested in writing your story down.
Yes. So, it is said that we're living epistles read of men, right? And when I first heard that, I said, that is really true. And not to judge anyone, but when we are chosen to go through something traumatic, it's not to hurt us, it's to help somebody else. I always feel that whatever I've been through, there's a story meant to help somebody else understand, come through it. And so that gives me the courage. There's a saying, you don't look like what you've been through, and that is correct.
Oh,
So
that
I
is so
have,
true.
if you really, if what we look like, if we look like what we went through, you wouldn't want to look at us.
Definitely
So
not.
today I am here because I have two books, one in print, the other you have the cover, and I would say that this book, Joyful Noise, changing the lyrics of your past. And the other one is the tell-all. It's the other side of rate. It takes strength to survive, but it takes courage to tell the story. There's a
Mhm.
lot of survivors, but they're afraid to tell the story. They've been ridiculed. Their family members have told them, you better not say that. And I've read it in my colleagues' books and I've heard it in their podcasts. And I think that
Yes.
is an injustice because your story is your story. And no one should have the right to determine what you tell, who you tell it to, and when you tell it
And how it ends.
and how it ends. But the interesting thing is that this book and The Other Side of Rape, they're sort of like my before and after pictures. I just chose to show the after first because at the end of any trauma, you do want to have a positive outcome. You want to show people that you really have overcome it. You don't want to speak out of malice and unforgiveness. And you just need to, at some point, stop telling the old story and change your song. And so that's the subtopic, changing the lyrics of your past. Changing the lyrics doesn't mean not talking about it any longer. It just is how you talk about it.
You know what?
So
I
these are
actually like the way, changing the lyrics of your story.
because lyrics are songs. And so words become either books, poems, or songs. And then if
Yes.
we're lucky enough, they become movies. So if we're going to transition from one to the next, at some point, the end, as you said, the outcome should never sound like the beginning. We'll talk
Yes.
about that more later. So changing the lyrics of your past. So this one really, when God dealt with me, when I got finished, he said, good job. That book is for you. That is the one that showed you that you're healed. That is the one that showed you that you're adult now, that you're mature, that you get it. You understand that you were chosen. You understand that it was never going to kill you. He said, however, the other side of rape is for me. That's the one that you're going to write out of and you're going to talk about from your bleeding side. You're going to talk out of your bleeding side. But it's still going to have a nice lyric. In the other side of raped, I talk about three categories of raped. And I know that, especially when it comes to women, it's a lot more sensitive. There are men being raped every single day. There are young men, there are young boys. I know too that it happened with them in a family structure. One started in the church they were going to. And so we have to understand that men are not going to talk about it the way we talk about it. It's just like they
Mm.
get breast cancer too. And so they kind of stay in the back. We're more vocal. But in this book, my three categories all fall under assault: physical, verbal, and mental. Keeping in mind again that men and women both go through physical, mental, and verbal abuse.
Yes, yes. I
Okay?
don't think people know how many people actually out there is going through these things that you are going through, and my story again is different, but it is amazing to just sometimes listen to other people's stories. Um, do you mind to continue with your
Oh, I
story?
think
That
I'm fully
is
ready. This would
good.
this will be Johanna, if I'm pronouncing it. I like saying Johanna. Sounds so
Johanna.
exotic, Johanna. Yes, this will be my first public filmed talking about what really, really happened and what is still happening. That's what the thing is. It didn't just happen to me, it's perpetually happening to children. So I'm a survivor of infantile, spousal, and verbal abuse.
Oh my word.
Infantile. I knew something was wrong when I was from the age of 5 up. There was a disconnect between me and my mother. She protected me, she kept a roof over my head, but there was something wrong. I always knew in my heart and my mind that there was something wrong because of the things that she, would say to me. So let me back up a little bit. I said three categories: physical. Physical, we talk a lot about the physical structure of being raped, okay? That's an intrusive thing. We didn't give anyone permission to do that. But
Yeah.
we tend to focus on what went into us, what happened to us. We don't talk a lot about what happened after, what was taken out of us, what was stripped away from us. Before that event, we had self-confidence, we had joy, we were happy, we were just skipping down the street and someone snatched us and violated us. And when they did that, they took all that away and replaced it with uncertainty, with shame, with humiliation, with
Mm.
anger. Okay. And
Yes.
so these are all underlying emotions of every assault. So I say that to say if you took 1,000 people and you put them in a room and you divided them up in four sections and you put some people on the floor and say, hey, just go around and just ask them whatever their assault is, doesn't matter if it's physical, mental, but whatever their assault was, whatever their traumatic moment was, just ask everybody one question. How did it make you feel? I guarantee you whichever side of the room and whichever walk of life, they're going to say these top 3 to 5 things. I was afraid. I was sad. I was angry. I was humiliated. Those are going to be, and when you think about that, someone might say, well, my being raped is so much more serious than you almost being raped or you being beat up. And I'm saying, is it really? Because the reason that the emotions are the same is because we're what you call triune beings. We're spiritual, we're soul, and we're body. So there's no way in the world that you can assault my body and not hurt my feelings. You cannot assault my body and not affect my soul, which tells me what happened. And you can't affect my soul like that and it not affect my spirit. So whether it went all the way, some even die. I talk about that in my book that I'm a survivor of this type of abuse,
Wow.
but everybody does not survive it. But listen to this, Johanna. There are survivors that still die. Let's say that again. Everybody doesn't survive. There are people that are in the grave. They didn't stop beating them. They didn't stop stabbing them. And they're gone. And I'm so sorry for the families and the children of those victims. However, there are dead men walking. They survived the death, but they still died on the inside.
Yes. See, because by the end of the day, when we are going through that tremendous thing that's happening to you, you are immediately in a defensive position where you are so strong and you defending yourself just to get through all of that. Then you are through it. And that is when everything starts. So if it is the loss of a family member, if it is something that you have been through, by the end of the day, you go and you sit, and some people cannot handle it. And some people feel like they don't want to be alive anymore and they're
Yeah.
not wanted. They feel abandoned. They feel like they're not good enough, things like that. And I always say, if we just put God in our life, He can
Mhm.
help us. He can strengthen us to just get through that hard times in our lives. Because, for instance, me again, losing my entire family of 6 members, including my mom, dad, 3 sisters, and my brother.
Yeah.
And that all before I turned 46 years of age.
My God.
I I am going to live maybe 46 years longer without my family members.
Yes.
Then it is like, do I really want to do that? And sometimes I felt like, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But then I stand back and I look at my blessings. And that is why we need to live and tell our stories. Because the more we speak about it, like you, Dawn, look at you. I can see that you are a strong woman. Hey, I can see that.
Oh, a
If
little
you would
too
like to
strong
continue
sometimes.
with your story, I will appreciate that.
Thank you. So this next part, it's you want it like you said, you have these thoughts in your mind and you're smiling, but you're screaming on the inside. You're like, why? What is going on in my life right now? When is this going to stop? So when I was about 16 years old, now I always have to say this, I love my mother. That was without question. But I don't think she was capable of loving me the way I needed it as a child because she had so much trauma in her life. So she was very close with her mother, and it was told to me on my dad's side of the family that when they went and told her her mother died, she lost it for a couple of years. And if it weren't for my older sister, she would come out and help my mom, and she would sit on the porch and cry. That she did this for 2 years. So that tells you something's going on. But there
Mm.
was something deeper when one day I don't know what I was doing. You weren't allowed to do very much in her house, but she said to me, my mother told me in my late teens that she wished she had flushed me down the toilet when she had a chance. So a lot of people would have packed their ever-loving bags and went anywhere but there. But I didn't. I stood still because you didn't talk back to her.
Mm.
And I remember saying inside, those inside voices, in what world was that okay to say to your daughter who has done nothing but exemplify, I love you, trying to get affection, doing things around the house? And that was when I said something else is going on. The backdrop behind that is that she really had a lot of issues with my dad. She didn't like my father. She didn't love my father. I think they had a horrible relationship. And guess what? I had to understand that for the day that I opened up my daycare when I lived in New Haven, Connecticut. And I got a young lady in that brought two precious children. Johanna, so precious. Little girl was only 2, just so sweet, but they had different dads.
Yeah.
Immediately, I saw her treat the little girl terribly. And I saw her treat the boy wonderfully. And I kept seeing this and I prayed, and God said, sit her down, because that was a part of my daycare counseling. So, well, with what I could counsel about. And I just told her, I said, I notice that you're really hard on your baby, and she's so sweet, and she doesn't know anything. She just smiles and she just wants love and hugs and kisses, but you're really, really angry at her. She's like 15 months old. I'm not understanding. Well, it turned out she hated that little girl's father, and that little girl paid for it. And I knew what it was to have to pay for that anger from a relationship. So,
Yes,
you
that's
know,
exactly what I can hear from your story is that you sometimes have to put yourself in your mother's shoes
yes,
because you don't know what they have been through in their lives.
that's
And
right.
only after I also lost my mother, I put myself in my mother's shoes because I felt like my mother wasn't caring about me that much after my twin sister died, because
Mm.
it felt like
Oh,
she loved my twin sister more now, you know.
oh, wow.
And then when I mentioned that to her, she felt so, so bad. So
Mm.
sometimes we have to also speak to our parents and tell them how they're making us feel, you know. My mother tried everything in that last few months before she died to make me feel that she really loved me, you know. But I
Yeah,
already made up my mind that she didn't.
yeah,
And
wow.
I needed to first lose my mother before I could put myself in her shoes and realized, wow, my mom actually did love me. Because
Yeah,
look at me now. So I have to also work very hard to not take my emotions out on my family. And
yeah,
sometimes we
it
have to
it
go to
doesn't.
grief share or we have to go to a psychiatrist to help us through these things, you know. But we
Yeah,
shouldn't take it out on our children. I
yeah.
agree 100% with you there.
The point that you make about talk to them, that doesn't always work. So there are generations of people that kept everything quiet.
Mm.
And then there was a next generation that started talking a little bit more to their kids. And then now we just say everything. I think we need a balance. But the pendulum went from you better not say what's going on in this house, right? You don't air your dirty laundry. I says, well, you may not air it, but people's going to smell it. They're going to
Yes.
smell it on you after a while. And I remember talking to a family member, and she couldn't understand for the life of me. Why are you even doing all this? These people are dead. I immediately made up my mind in that moment I would never talk to her again because if she couldn't be open enough to care about where I was trying to reach out. I was trying to talk. And there were those that just outright said I was lying about what I talked about because they didn't want to hear it. That's fine. My story, my song, it's okay. Turn me off, mute me, delete me. You don't have to listen, but this story is going to be told. But when you say talk about it, I tried those things. But there was a huge gap. My mother had me in almost like her late 40s. So
Mm.
she was born in 1919. And in
Wow.
1919, I don't even think we had all these issues. And if we did, they definitely weren't on talk shows talking about it. They definitely
Mm.
weren't going to therapists and talking about it. So it just implodes. But anything that stays inside of you that long, it's going to eke
Eat
out.
you up.
It's going to seep out. It's going to show out. It's going to show up. And I'm telling you, Johanna, I was scared to death when I had my baby. I says, God, I swear, God, I need you to help me. That I went through, I do not want. But this is what the problem was. The good thing is that I had God. But when I started to see my mother, so the family member that said they're not here, I beg to differ. They are very much here in all of us. If you see your cousin, you see your aunt and your uncle, you say, boy, they are just like Aunt Susie or, Aunt Uncle David, right? And then you just have to watch yourself. No, you can't govern a person that's not here anymore. No, you can't change anything that they did, but you can stop the repercussion. You can get a hold of the behavior that has been handed down. The Bible
Definitely,
says that we
definitely.
are born in sin and we're shapen in iniquity. That's two things that happened to us. We were born in sin and we were shapen in iniquity. Christ, his death, salvation took care of the born part because you become born again.
Hmm.
But how about that shaping and iniquity piece? That is the part that your community has something to do with, your culture has something to do with, who you were raised with. So it's this constant
Definitely.
fight and battle of good and bad and evil and goodness that you are so tired of, and it sort of drains you. But I remember I did call my mother because you didn't dare in our house
Mm.
speak up. And I was at work. I was about 21 now, and I did call and I was crying. And I said, Mom, I hate this. All these years, and I still don't know what's wrong. I still don't know what's going on. And she got so upset with me. She got so offended with me. She just got offended with me. And from there, my heart really knew that I was on my own. But this is a lot of what I think happens. We think
Yeah,
we know everything.
I also think because of the time, I mean, your mom was 46 years of age.
Yeah.
And like you say, it's I think mostly it's this last 30 years maybe that has changed since social media has really
Hmm.
became more popular,
Hmm.
where people are speaking up more, because now we all have a voice
That's right.
and we can speak up. And there are people who's going to listen. So we shouldn't keep it for ourselves, especially if someone is doing something bad to you. He should not be doing that.
Yeah.
So
Something
you
bad.
have to speak up.
Yeah, you have to. But it like again, it needs to be when you're ready. When it comes to family members, a lot of times they don't want to speak up because they don't want the family member to have to go to jail or go to court because when you molest a child, when you abuse a child, that's what's
Mm.
going to happen to you.
Yes,
And so you're threatened. So then here's more mental abuse because you're threatened with this. You better not say what goes on here.
yes.
But I
So
remember about.
how and when did you start to speak up? What changed in you that you said, I am going to start to speak up and now I'm going to write a book about this? When was
Okay.
that?
Well, I've always written books on the self-help side. I just never came out and said, I need help. I need somebody to hug me, love me, hear my story, and understand. It
Yeah.
was actually when I won the International Impact Book Award. And God said, "You're international now. And so your story is ready for the world. I don't want it in just one small room. I don't want it just on Facebook. You have a message because it doesn't matter what race, it doesn't matter what culture, it doesn't matter what gender, what you went through, everybody. I'm God and I see it every day, all day. Babies are being
Amen.
molested, babies are being raped, babies are being raped. Babies are being raped. I got to stop right there. 7 years ago, I was in a failing relationship, another one, because until you get whole, you can't give that much.
Mm.
And I went back home. Back home is Massachusetts for me. And I stayed for a weekend with a wonderful minister. I won't say her name, but we went through a lot. We prayed. God delivered. There was so much going on in that apartment that weekend. There were things that were happening that were frightening me, but they were helping me.
Wow.
Towards the end, on my last day, when it was time to leave, she was in the kitchen cooking. And she never turned around, but she said to me, "Dawn, something happened to you. And when you're ready, God's going to tell you what it is. And He's going to tell you who did it." And that I stopped in my tracks. Well, prior, what she didn't know, I had already started conversations with a family member. She was older in her 70s, Christian woman. And I don't know how we got reconnected. We hadn't talked in decades. And then because it was time. You don't have to worry. You don't have to force it. When it's time, God will bring people to you. And she told me, she said, "Dawn, I'm listening to you." And I had this dream, this recurring, and I couldn't understand what it was. She
Mm.
said she was at a family reunion because on my dad's side, they did that a lot. We didn't. And she said, um, some of your cousins ran in and said her name is Peaches. God bless you, Peaches. She was the lover. She was the love and the heartbeat of the family. She was going to love you. She was going to check on you. So they ran to her and said, "Peaches, you have to help her." And they put a little baby in her arms. And she said, in the dream, Dawn, the baby's blanket was pink. So I knew that meant it was a girl. She said, when I took the blanket back, the arm baby had a black eye. That was when God said to me, "This is what you didn't need to know on top of everything else. You wanted to know that from the day you were born until that period that you can't recall, everything was okay, and it was not okay." So she told me how the family weren't allowed to come around because abusers will do that. They don't want the children to have company. They don't want the children to go stay anywhere. And I couldn't have company. I couldn't do sleepovers because later on I realized I guess she just doesn't want me to start talking too much. But when they told me that, I says, "Okay, things do make a lot of sense here." And that was me. And they used to call and ask my dad. They said they would hear me crying in the background all the time. And they said, "Do you want us to come over there?" And my dad, he just said he would say, "No, no, it's okay. You know how her mom is. I got it. I'll take care of it." And eventually one day she packed us all up and she moved. And I just think it's hard on everybody. Like you said, she was like 45. To have to start your life over, worrying about another person when you've already got so many recurring things that you never dealt with, that is enough right there to stretch your mental health.
Yes,
Don't you think?
definitely, definitely. I cannot imagine, although I had my daughter, my last daughter, and my little son when I was 36 and 38, already I feel almost too old now because if you think about it, when they are going to be out of school, I'm going to be 60 when they
Yeah.
are. It is almost crazy to think about it. They're going to be seniors and we're going to be 60. It's crazy to think about it like that.
But
And
we're young.
then
That's
you
60 is
just want
I'll
to
be
start your life, you know. I mean, me also, I also feel young. I don't feel like I am 52. Um,
yeah.
I don't. And I think it is all about how you carry yourself and how you take care of yourself. But mentally, if you keep yourself positive and strong and healthy minded, you can definitely go much further because a negative mind or negative thought breaks your spirit down so
Yeah.
much and it
Yeah.
can eventually kill you. You can die from loneliness. You can die from sadness
That's a proven fact.
because that is a proven test.
That's
Yes,
a
I
proven
agree.
fact.
I was
Yes.
very, very close to that stage of my life after I've lost so many people. I felt like I couldn't get up again, but
Yeah.
I thank God.
Yeah, we have to
If
thank him.
I did not have God in my life, I don't know if I would have been able to be an example of people speaking out and speaking to people like you, Dawn.
Yeah.
It is just amazing to have that strength behind you, and it's just God.
Yeah.
God
It
can
is just
lift
God.
you up. He can pull you out of that darkness and He can give you a better life. He can give you a better spirit. Just like you said, after you have won your International Impact Book Award for your book, I also have won an International Impact Book Award
Yes, you
a
have.
year ago, my very first one. And ever since then, it has also lifted my spirit up that, wow, my book was good enough to win an award. And now I am going to Hollywood
Yeah.
for
Yes,
Author
you
of the Year. It is
exactly.
so impactful. And sometimes people just have to sit back and for at least 5 minutes to listen to someone's story because it might end up that you might listen to the complete story
Agree.
because it is so impactful. And
Yeah.
sometimes other people, they don't care, but they
No, no,
those
they don't care.
who
And
don't
guess
care,
what? You
it's
have to
like you
join
say,
them with
block
that.
them, leave me,
They
you don't
don't
have
have
to
to.
read it. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to let that go. You have to let that go. I don't know what else to say. You have to let that go.
Yes.
But you know, you are as young as you feel, and you will live as long as God needs you to. He
Yes.
gave you your children. He
Yes.
knows at what point they will be able to sustain on their own. He knows that you want to enjoy them. And He knows also that you're that living open book that they're going to need. When I had my daughter, and I tell you, I didn't know. I don't know who taught me and people now will say, your mother loves you, Christina. We saw how she protected you. Somebody had to. However, it was the day I had to tell her that, listen, this is what has run rampant in our family, your DNA, my DNA, on some sides.
Yeah.
But I want you to know this and hear me, Johanna, how hard this was to tell my daughter. Here I am. I'm saved now. I'm praising God. I'm doing the best I can. But God was preparing me that I was going to go through another level of trauma that was going to trigger my old trauma, and she was going to suffer in some ways from it. He said, so get her ready. This is what I told my daughter. I says, honey, I'm going to do everything in my power to get strong, to get delivered. I said to this, but if I ever call you out of your name, if I ever punish you too harshly, if I ever hit you too harshly, I want you to know this. It is wrong. All of it is going to be wrong. None of it is going to be okay. Don't ever get used to it. Talk to whoever you have to talk to. There's no such thing as in this house because when we leave this house, people see something's wrong with us. I told her, don't you ever be ashamed to go get some help and talk to someone about it. And know this, God loves you and He loves me. And until the day I am no longer your mother, I am going to continue to strive and work to be the best version of your mommy that you deserve and that you need.
Wow.
That was the hardest thing I had ever had to do in my life. And if you look at us today, we're doing really, really well. But I try to stay on track, and I don't know how much time we have left, but I have some important main points, and whatever's left, we can chit chat. But I
Sure.
really want people to
Yes,
hear
please
these final
continue.
main points. So these are my main points when it's dealing with trauma, abuse. My first husband, yeah, he just had field day on me. And do you know, I never hated him. My daughter couldn't understand. She says, Mom, your divorce looks better than most marriages I know because it was not him. He changed. It was due to substance abuse at that time. That was a long, long time ago. We were 19, 20, 21, and I saw my friend disappear. I said, this is not my friend. And he was getting angry and angrier. And eventually it started coming out on me, and we had the baby. And so I had to do what I had to protect her. But
Mm.
these are some main points. And anyone who listens to this, please take this seriously. Change your perspective over what happened unless you cause yourself more damage than they did when they hurt you. I'm going to say that again. Holding on to the pain and whatever it is that's negative about what happened to you is going to cause you more damage in the long run
Mm.
than they would have. You are hurting yourself now. You deserve to
Definitely.
let go. You deserve to accept that it wasn't your fault. Whatever self-communication you have to do, do that. But you've got to find a way to change your perspective, because if you don't, you're just going to continue to wallow. Number two, we talked a lot about this. Do not talk about your pain to heartless people. OMG.
They're
Leave
not
them
gonna
alone.
listen.
Leave them, people, because you know why? People are sometimes going through the same thing, but they're not ready to admit it, which means they're in denial about their own issues. And you being mistransparent, I can talk about it all and still love them. I'm not there. And I've been told that by people. Oh, I don't know how you do it. I'm not there. I'm going to hate them forever.
Yeah.
Um, Going to someone heartless about your pain is going to be counterproductive. Trust me when I tell you, don't even do it yourself. It's going to be adding insult to injury. I see you nodding your head. You want to
Yes.
say something? Did you want to jump
No,
in?
I am just agreeing with you because I know exactly what you're speaking about. And to go talk to someone, I am just agreeing with you because there are people who's going to just make it worse. There are
Yeah.
people who's not going to care. There are people who's going to say, "Oh, just get over it." I had someone told me, "Build a breach and get over it,"
Oh,
you
that's
know.
okay.
And I talk about it in my last book where I eventually built the breach and I tried to get over it. Those words were harsh, deep,
Yeah. That's the
nasty
verbal abuse I'm
words,
talking about. The
you know.
mental anguish, those kinds of comments.
And then those words were said to me many years ago. I
Yeah.
think maybe more than 25 years ago. That was even before, that was just after I lost my twin sister, and my father. Um, and someone just said, just get over it, build a bridge
Mm.
and get over it. And I
Okay.
think they meant it well, but those words stuck with me. And I'm thinking to myself, how can people say that? How can people say that? And after all these years, I told myself, maybe it's time to build that bridge because it's a mental thing.
Hmm.
It is about making yourself strong. And as soon as I have physically in my mind said, I am just going to build that bridge and I'm going to get over it. And like you said, I have blocked so many people out in my life. I block them on my Facebook. I block them on my life. If they're not interested in listening to my story, or if they think, oh my word, she's speaking about her story again or a family loss or something like that.
Oh, God.
You know what? I have blocked many people in my life.
Hmm.
And if those people must come back to me and tell me their story, guess what, Dawn? I will actually listen
I know you would.
because they will then realize how I felt at the
Yeah,
time
I
where I
understand.
needed a friend the most. I have
Yes.
lost many friends that have moved on because I think my heartache and my depression was too much for them, Although I always had a smile on my face,
Hmm.
they could never see how broken my heart really was. And that is why I wrote my third book, The Unseen Tears Beneath the Mask,
Hmm.
where I've
Yes, I saw that.
actually built my bridge. I take my mask off when I got on the other side, and I am now where I'm sitting here speaking with you, Dawn.
Yeah,
This is my new chapter,
and I love it, and I
and I'm
hear it.
only starting.
And we can't stop. But there's something that you said. I always have two parts. The other side of rape, because we were taught coming up, there's two sides to every story. Sometimes there's five sides. Sometimes there's 10 sides. There's different angles and views, and we can't just have tunnel vision and get stuck on one. So when you say to me, when I hear people say, "Oh, they said something cruel to me, but I think they meant it for good," who told you that? Like, who told you they said it because it was for a good? Some people just want to see you get better. Some people want to. I said, but honestly, we assume too much. And that's my next
Mhm.
point. Don't get used to abuse.
Mm.
It's a gradual sickness where we tell ourselves the things that people, oh, they didn't mean it. Oh, they meant, I am not a mind reader. The late, great Maya Angelou said, you will not always remember what someone did to you, but you will remember how they made you feel.
Yeah.
That is the part I'm talking about. Spirit, soul. You hurt my body. You hurt my awareness. You hurt my spirit. You hurt my feelings. You just keep hurting. Don't get used to abuse. You don't have to argue. See, I wasn't getting depressed. You weren't going to get on my nerves like that. But
Yeah.
I went to the mean side. You were going to get a tongue lashing. Yes, you were. And so that I fought. Oh, yeah, you were going to get it all the way around. And so, and it is funny now because I just can't do it anymore. But gradual sickness, getting used to abuse. You're going to see t-shirts. Someone said you need to put that on a t-shirt. We get used to
Yes, I've
abuse
heard that
when
as
we
well.
make excuses for people's bad behavior. We don't have to. If you don't have something nice to say, then guess what? Zip it,
Yeah,
right? You don't have to say
I
anything to me at
agree.
all. Just keep it moving. Block me. Don't answer the phone when I call. But that comment right there, I can't give you any credit for it. So you don't have to take it anymore. Abuse is not okay, right? And so this is my favorite part. My definition of abuse, I'm a word person. So when I look at the word abuse, you see AB, which would be like abnormal, letting you know
Hmm.
that it's something that shouldn't happen. AB
Yes.
always means, okay?
Yeah.
And use. So I looked at it one day and I made my own word. I said, my own definition. I said, abuse is abnormal usage of a thing or a person. It's
Wow.
abnormal. It's
Yeah.
okay for us to be in love and want to be intimate and make love, but when you twisted my arm and pushed me into the pillow and forced me, honey, you went over the line. That
Hmm.
was not consensual, even if it's my spouse. That was not consensual. You took advantage of the love. You took advantage of the moment and you crossed over and started doing something abnormal, and that's not okay.
Yes.
Um,
Wow.
Abnormal also in itself means misappropriate and not usual. So I
Hmm.
research words all the time, but you have to get to a point where you did, where I did, to love and be patient with yourself.
Oh,
Because if
patience
you
is
aren't,
such
no
a
one
big
else
word.
will. They're going to get sick of us. In my book, this one right here, there's a chapter towards the end where I say, it's the last chapter, and I say, look, guys, let's just be real. They get sick of us. The same story, 20 years, you still. That's why I did this, changing lyrics of my. I got tired of hearing it one day. I said, Dawn, would you shut up? Oh my God, do something about it, but leave people. So the first thing I did is I gave the love that I wanted. I stopped talking about it to my family and my friends, and I apologized. I said, thank you so much for being a friend. Thanks for listening to that nonsense year after year. And I promise you, your time will not be in vain. I'm working on it. And the next time you see me, I'm going to be healed. I'm going to be strong. I'm going to be over it. My perspective, I am not going to have wasted your time. Not one phone call in the middle of the night, first thing in the morning, crying, had a bad day, had a bad life. It's not going to happen. And I really did
Wow.
it out of a love for people. And I wrote in here and I said, just know that after a while, when they saw your name come up on the screen, they rolled their eyes a little like, oh my God. And so let's just keep it real. Come on, let's be real about it. And I didn't want my loved ones to roll their eyes and not want to talk to me. But I realized also it wasn't that some of them didn't want me to get better. They really did want to see me happy. And the last thing that I say in the book is they're going to enjoy to hear your final song. Let them enjoy the new lyrics. It's like going from hard, dark, underground metal music that I wasn't into to a beautiful, melodious, Mozart, or Bach. And it's such a different feeling on the ears. So
Yes.
you will learn to love yourself if no one else does besides God. Our children usually do, mine does. You're going to be patient with yourselves. They don't have to. Oh my God, everybody. No one has to listen to it. They're not psychologists. They don't know what to do for you. They're tired. And believe it or not, they've got their own stuff to deal with. So just do what you got to do and just keep it to yourself, but you don't have to get used to abuse. Get your pain under control. Pain under control before getting married and starting a family. Please do not drive your family insane. Get yourself some kind of help and figure out a way. But mine was self-medicated. I've talked to a couple of people, and that's just not worked for me. But what worked for me was to own it because I don't, and this is no disrespect, but I don't believe in medicating devils and demons, right? I know I had a couple. I don't believe in medicating them. I don't
Mhm.
believe in talking to them. I believe in killing them and getting them out of me, out of my life, out of my world, away from my family. We're going to fight to the end. I'm that mother in Terminator. I had to grab my daughter and say, hey, it's about to get dark, but I promise you, I'm going to protect you and you stay here till mommy comes back. I've got a devil. I've got a demon to fight. I've got a lion to slay, and I'm going to do it. But when I get finished, I'm going to come back and you and mommy are going to be okay. So, the common denominator
Amen.
of all assault
Wow.
is how it makes people feel. You can expect um, out of a sample, like I said earlier, 1,000 people, I promise you, try it. Just get 10 people and let them talk openly and freely about their assault and then ask them like a counselor. I went to school for counseling. I just didn't want to do it because I
Mhm.
didn't want, no, I just didn't want to do it. And you always say, if you listen, so how did that make you feel? Because all the counselor really do, they're trained to hear certain things, but really, for the first 3 months, there's not supposed to be any probing, if, in case people know
Mm.
that. They're supposed to listen and write. And if you're wondering why they're writing, they're just writing down what you say. And you know what happens at the end of 3 months? It's time to probe. And they're going to open their notebook and say, so, Joanna, you feel that all they're doing is reading back to you what you said to them because there's a life-changing moment when you hear it back. Record yourself. Next time you want to complain, next time you want to murmur, next time you want to feel pitiful, record it and play it back and see how you want to hear it
Yeah.
and then put people in that place and you will have a lot more understanding not to just pick up the phone and put those heavy things on people. So fear, sadness, angry, humiliation, confusion, those are all counterparts and common denominators for any kind of assault. And I just don't know what else to say. Talk about it,
Yes,
but more
definitely.
importantly, do something about it. My best response is you can't harm our body without affecting our soul, and that
Mm.
is so important. And there's three parts of us that those three parts need to be healed, all three of them.
Yes, definitely. I mean, if you don't do that, it's definitely going to hurt your soul and you're going to fade away. Um,
Yeah.
and nobody's going to hear the rest of your story one day.
That's that dead
Wow,
man walking.
that's
Yeah.
amazing. Your story is so powerful. Wow, Dawn, this um it's really powerful, and I am so grateful that you got this far in your life, and I can see that God is just going to bless you so, so much more because you have so much to offer people who has been through what you have been through. So good job. I am so proud that you got up and you speak out and try to have a better life for you and your daughter. I can just think how your daughter is. She must be so proud of her
Oh
mother.
my gosh, she treats me
And
like a queen. She
oh,
treats me like a queen. She just recently took me, she heard all of my life because you know, when you're not in good relationships and you're not being loved, you don't get to live. I'm
mm,
just now starting to travel.
yes.
These things I took on the job with me. Sometimes I couldn't work. I just couldn't. I couldn't do it. And so God said, I'm going to give you something one day where you're not going to have to worry about corporate America again.
Mm,
And he's done that. But all of my life, I wanted to hear a certain group of people, and they're called the Queens. And it was Patti LaBelle and Stephanie Mills and Shaka Khan and Gladys Knight, and they all recently came to Atlanta. And my daughter, see, when you love your children and you're honest with them, she said, Mom, all of my life, 37 years, I have heard you talk about these women. You know why? They were the only mother figures I had. They were beautiful. They were
mm,
graceful. They spoke beautifully to their audience. And I fell in love with anybody that spoke nicely to people. I
mm,
gravitated to any female figure. I felt if I could just hone that in from them, and just keeping myself up is all due to them. It's a tribute. They're legends. And people may not understand that. Oh, she's crazy. She doesn't even know those women. Oh, really? Those women are hurt too. Those women
mm,
have been hurt too to get
yes.
where they are today. They've gone through a lot. So it was just amazing. And she took me, and she just treats me like a queen. And she deserves the best. She's a sweetheart. Sweet, sweet,
Yes.
sweetheart. And I
Wow.
never wanted her to feel any abuse from mommy, nothing but love. But I did what I had to do, Joanna. I had
Wow.
to for her sake.
I am very grateful that you were willing to come and tell your story with to me. And I pray that many people hear this story. And I pray that if you have a story out there, that you will reach out. Come tell it. Come tell me the story and let's get that story to be heard.
Yes.
Because if you don't speak up, you're going to fall and you're going to be alone.
Yeah.
Where if you do speak up, someone can help you. If you are grieving, there are so many helplines that you can call. I can just think of one, 988. If you are grieving so much and you feel that you cannot go on and something's going to happen, then call that number, but
Yeah.
get some help.
Yes.
Well, Dawn, thank you so much for coming to share your story. I am Johanna Wendell, and this is Give Me Hope with Johanna. Like I said, if you have a story, please reach out. We will be back next week with another amazing story. And the stories are not going to stop. So stay tuned. Follow my channel, reach out to me, and may we bless every single person out there hurting today. And may God be with you.
Yes.
Thank you
Yes. Thank you
and
for having me.
goodbye.
God bless you.
Thank you. Have
Have
a
a
good
blessed day.
day.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
This has been Give Me Hope with your host, Johanna Vendel. Join Johanna each week and harness the transformative power of storytelling to facilitate healing and growth.